ROBOCOP, Paul Verhoeven's 1987 sci-fi classic. Who doesn't like ROBOCOP? I do, and I thought maybe it's about time to do another ROBOCOP collection video. So let's get into it. Hello everyone. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another collection video. This time, yes, ROBOCOP. Now, I've been wanting to do this for a good few months, maybe 4 months, but there's a reason why I held off, and that was because of a release that came about in December, a physical media release. And it was that release, me watching it, that sort of made me want to do a collection video again and combine everything into one. Now, ROBOCOP, like I said, 1987, starring Peter Weller, Nancy Allen. It's a classic film, and it's a film that I go to often. I grew up on it, and I adore the world of ROBOCOP. I like, doesn't matter how bad the film is, I'm there for it, for ROBOCOP. I think that the concept is great. The design of the character is just beautiful. Perfect. Didn't need a redesign at all. And it's one of those films that just I gravitate towards again and again. And for me, it is a sort of nigh on perfect movie. There's, I can't fault it. I mean, I can nitpick at it, but I can't fault the film. I think it is a true classic from a really rich era of filmmaking, where we had a combination of script, effects, soundtrack, acting. Everything just came together in the 80s to give us some profound, brilliant, outstanding movies. And that's kind of lacking now. But we've got ROBOCOP, we've got the collection, and what I'm going to go into is the physical media side of it, the collectibles that I've got, the comic books, and this wealth of stuff. Now, I will say that if you know me and you know the channel, I love the Punisher. Punisher's, but this is another story for another day. I love the Punisher, and my love for the Punisher came out of ROBOCOP. It was because of ROBOCOP. How is that? Is that something you'd like me to talk about sometime and fill you in on the details of why ROBOCOP led me to the Punisher? I won't include it in this video. It will make it even longer than what it will be. But anyway, so let's just delve into this collection of stuff. So back when comic book adaptations were a thing, ROBOCOP, the rights to ROBOCOP were actually acquired by Marvel Comics. And Marvel Comics done the comic book adaptation for the first ROBOCOP movie, which you can see here. Let me just adjust the camera a bit. So the story of Alex Murphy told in comic book form. Comic book adaptations aren't really a thing now because of the time between film release in the cinema and, the streaming or physical media release. They kind of got made redundant, defunct, if you will. And then ROBOCOP also done ROBOCOP 2, which is there. Then from that, because obviously, like I said, Marvel had the rights to the character, they done their own ROBOCOP comic book series. And we'll just have a quick look now at some of the covers of this series. So here we have issue 1 of the ROBOCOP comic from Marvel. And for me, this was a classic time of collecting comics. It was a fantastic era for me. So yeah, and I'll just show you the covers as we go. That's one. That's cover 2, 3, 4, issue 5, issue 6. Go open another bag for the next ones. Issue 7, issue 8, issue 9, issue 10, issue 11. And it still continues. Issue 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, issue 17. Now the comic did continue after that. The other issues are in amongst the box somewhere, and I can't, well, I ain't got a clue where they are, to be honest with you. Now after Marvel finished with RoboCop, the rights went to Dark Horse. Now Dark Horse Comics, you know, they done Aliens, they done Predator, Terminator comics, so it kind of made sense that RoboCop would fall to them. They done the movie adaptation to RoboCop 3, and they also gave us a RoboCop versus Terminator comic book as well, and that stuff again I do have. Then the rights to RoboCop as a comic have gone to different comic companies. Boom Studios had it, among others, and we did get comic books based upon the original scripts, Frank Miller scripts, for RoboCop 2 and 3. And again, comics that I do have, but I have so many boxes that they've been sealed away for, I want to say, about 12 years now. So finding them would be a nightmare, and I should go through them boxes at some point. I really should. So that's the comic side of things there. So let's get into the collectibles. Okay, so I don't have much in the way of RoboCop toys or collectibles in that sense, but here we have a large RoboCop figure. As you can see, it does move. You can move all the parts to it, and it does have a sound function. I don't have any batteries in it though. There's a button on his back. There you go, as you can see, and you can press and he will speak. He'll have lines from the film, sound bites of Peter Weller. Now I think this came from McFarlane Toys back in the day. I may be wrong with that. I could well be wrong with that, but there we go. And as you can see with my hand there, it's pretty big. So it's a nice piece, and yeah, takes a pride of joy of part of the collection. And then we have an Ed 209. I always wanted an Ed 209 for a long time, and yeah, I finally got one. My wife bought it for me for Christmas some time ago. Again, you can move it, you can position it, and it does have sound bites as well, but like it hasn't got any batteries in it like the one that came before. Now there was a much larger version available of this, and I believe this came from NECA Toys, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I may well be. I do have the box. The box is up in the attic, and I have noticed that this wire here has come free, and I've got to sort of fix that back into place. But yeah, there's my Ed 209. And as you can see now, I have fixed that wire problem. Or that, not that it's a wire that works, but it's part of the design of the character. And lastly, as collectible pieces go, this is the Ford Taurus, and this is from Jada Toys. Jada cars, I do have a fair few Jada cars of different film vehicles. This one comes with a little RoboCop figure as well. This is the only car that I've got that I haven't actually unboxed. I honestly don't know why. I fancied keeping this one in the box. And yeah, pretty cool as well. Pretty cool looking. Closer look. There's the ROBOCOP figure with it. And there's the car. Pretty nice. So shall we have a look at the films now? Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, it's time to delve into the physical media side of ROBOCOP for me. And, well, there's a fair bit of it. How is there so much ROBOCOP? Well, let's find out. Let's get into it. Okay, so I will say that in a box somewhere, I do actually still have that ROBOCOP DVD box set that kind of opens up into a cross kind of shape. But again, it's somewhere that, well, I'm not going to go digging around in the attic through boxes to find that. So we're going to start with my Blu-rays. And first up is the ROBOCOP Trilogy box set. Containing ROBOCOPs 1, 2 and 3. Now, ROBOCOP, obviously, classic film. ROBOCOP 2, it's a funny film for me. I mean, I like it. But I've got issues with its pacing more than anything else. I've got issues with its pacing. But as a young kid, when it came out, Kane the robot scared the crap out of me. It really did. And you probably wouldn't have thought I was that young then, but yeah, it had an impact on me, that robot. But yeah, no. And then ROBOCOP 3, well, you know, it's a film that honestly I don't really revisit often at all. But there we go. And then we have the 4K steelbook for ROBOCOP, which is this one here. Theatrical cut, director's cut. Yeah, this is the 4K steelbook. I was checking it was the 4K steelbook. I bought this off of someone on eBay, really cheap, actually, a while ago, but very cheap. I got a great deal on it, so I cannot complain. Obviously, it's a nice steelbook. It did have a couple of little scratches on it that I kind of covered over with a little bit of Sharpie. But other than that, it was in a decent enough condition. And again, ROBOCOP. Now, it's funny because I also have that edition of ROBOCOP, the 4K Arrow, which was a kind of cynical release in that it had already been released in Blu-ray 4K transfer before this, and then re-released in the same packaging and all that. So you've got poster in there, you got the film in Namare, you got a booklet about the film, which is great. And this is what I like about these. Yeah, I mean, a lot of writing in that book as well. You know what I mean? It's a really thick book, and it's a good read as well. It's very much worth getting a hold of if you like ROBOCOP. Now, for me, I will say that the 4K version of this film, I wasn't too pleased with it. I don't think ROBOCOP needs to be a crisp, clean transfer. I think the film works better as a dark and gritty, and gritty on screen as well. A lot of, you know, the grit on the screen is of no problem for the film. It works for the film. However, I feel that ROBOCOP 2 could benefit from a 4K upgrade. So then we move on to ROBOCOP the series, and this is where things get kind of a little bit silly, because recently we had ROBOCOP the series released here in the UK, and it was like this, and I was really excited for this release. If you was watching the channel at the time, you know it kept getting put back and put back and put back, and it was annoying me. I did wonder if we was going to actually get it in this country at some point. And I was like really eager, looking forward to it. It has all the episodes. I think there's maybe 20, 22 episodes on there for ROBOCOP the series. Now, for me, ROBOCOP the series, I have a lot of fun with it. ROBOCOP as a film franchise, I'll get into this a bit later, but I couldn't see it going any further than the first film, really, without taking one of two options. One is the bigger, meaner robot, and the other option is a sort of police procedural type of an effort. And obviously the TV series goes down that route. And I know that TV series is cheap and it's corny and all that sort of a thing, but I really have fun with it. I've got no issue with it whatsoever. So that was the UK release. But years before that, I actually had this here German release for it with quite a nice slip, actually. That's the cover image there. And open it up, and you have a booklet inside, and you have a reversible sleeve. So it's got a slip case and that sort of a thing. And yeah, it's... And then I wanted to see what the transfer difference was between the two. I've still not done that comparison, even though I started watching the TV series not too long ago. And then I was shopping on... This is crazy. I was shopping on Amazon Germany, and I noticed that they had another version of the TV series, like that. And it was like $4.99. So I thought to myself, I'm going to get that to go on my ROBOCOP TV series, because I really love ROBOCOP, you know. Even the bad ROBOCOP, I like ROBOCOP. I can't deny that. Anyway, so that moves us on. Because after this TV series failed and was cancelled, this came out about a year after ROBOCOP 3. And then Canadian production company made 4 ROBOCOP sci-fi channel movies called ROBOCOP Prime Directives. Now, these are available on DVD, very cheap. And if they went to Blu-ray, I would certainly get them. Now, my first venture into ROBOCOP Prime Directives was with this here French DVD of the first movie. And here it's just titled ROBOCOP 2001. But I still kept it. Even though I got it again. Now, first of all, when I got Prime Directives, I had it in a box, all 4 of them in this box. But I since got rid of that, and I wanted the individual Amaray cases for them. So these are these here. You have ROBOCOP Dark Justice, which is the first one. And you have ROBOCOP Meltdown, which is the second one. Then ROBOCOP Resurrection, which is the third. And finally ROBOCOP Crash and Burn. Now, this show does a lot wrong, but it also does some stuff right as well. It's very cheap, I can't say that. The fella who plays ROBOCOP is very short. He's very short, and they do the unthinkable of standing him next to individuals that are far taller than him, probably tower over him by about a foot, and it just looks a bit silly. However, what the show does do right is that, and this is what the film's never actually done, is that at the end of ROBOCOP, as we know, he becomes Murphy again. He becomes Murphy. He smiles and that sort of a thing, right? The robot's gone, essentially, and the man is back. But when you get to ROBOCOP 2 and 3, that's lost again, and it goes back to him being almost robotic-like. But this program here delves into more of the character of Murphy, and there's scenes where he lashes out in anger as ROBOCOP and things like this, and it works for it. But you know, these are available very cheap. Very cheap. You can pick these up for pennies. Would I recommend them? Only if you're a big ROBOCOP fan. Is the only way I'd say. Now, I would take them over watching ROBOCOP 3, most definitely. But yes, they are. You know, I know what I'm watching isn't good, if that makes sense. And anyway, now I was going to do this this series a lot sooner if it wasn't for this release here. And this is RoboDoc, the creation of RoboCop. This is the series, documentary series that came out on, well, released on the Blu-ray at the end of last year. You get art cards with it. You get a poster with it as well. And I'd watched these before purchasing, not for any reason, not to sort of make my decision on whether I was going to purchase it or not, but they're available to watch. I watched them because I was intrigued, and you know, this is like nigh on 5 hours of content of making of about RoboCop, and it goes into every single aspect of the film, and it gets back all these people, you know, even like the cocaine prostitute girl, people like that, they're all back, them two women. So it delves right into every aspect of the making of the show. Peter Weller's there, and Peter Weller is so passionate about this character and about, you know, what the work that he'd done on it, that seriously I recommend watching this documentary. It's new, so it gives you a fresh perspective on the film. Now, with documentaries, I love retrospective documentaries because you get an honesty, you get an earnest sense of what really went on set, the problems that that they faced, and all this sort of a thing. And you don't get them when on a documentary that's made at the time of the film coming out, because that's nothing more than a puff piece to sell you the movie, to advertise the movie to you. So a nice retrospective documentary is always welcome by me, and this is a top level documentary. Seriously, I cannot emphasize how great that is. So moving on into the realm of RoboCop, we have the animated series, and here we have RoboCop. This is just a release that I picked up for cheap, and it contains 5 episodes from the RoboCop animated TV show. There were toys as well. I don't have any of them toys, otherwise I would have shown them to you. And inside I do have, where are we here? Now, I've got a few discs in here, because I have, that's that disc there, and then I have 2 discs from another release, but I don't ever know what happened to the covers of them, so I put them in here. I would have decanted my DVDs down at the time, that's why I don't have that cover. But yeah, RoboCop the animated series, obviously this is where RoboCop became kiddified and whatnot. But since then, I have sourced the complete animated series on a bootleg release. There was no official cover art for it, so one had to sort of be made up very quickly. And then after that, there was another RoboCop series called Alpha Command RoboCop. And I got the complete series of that, again bootlegged. It's the only way I could get them, unfortunately, otherwise I probably would have picked them up genuinely. So obviously you all know that we had the RoboCop remake, yes, starring Joel Kinnaman, and what a great cast this has got. I mean, you've got Joel Kinnaman, Gary Oldman, Michael Keaton, Jackie Earle Haley, Samuel L. Jackson. You know, it's got a great list in it of cast. And this is the lenticular Blu-ray. Nice lenticular on it as well. Now, this film for me, it was okay. It was okay. I don't think RoboCop needed a remake. I seriously don't. You take a design that was perfect and you try and make it better, and it just comes off far worse. I do think that he looked better at the very end when he went to the. He wasn't black and he was silver. At least they kept the colour scheme for that last minute. And they should have had that all the way through. It kind of reversed the role of RoboCop in the sense that when he woke up as the machine, he had all his memories of a man. And he knew exactly what happened to him and freaked out over it. So it kind of done a reversal on that. But yeah, it's not a film that I often revisit. But yeah, it was okay. But as remakes go, it wasn't required. RoboCop is a nigh on perfect movie. It wasn't required. And then we have the steelbook for that very same film. And this is my last physical media release for RoboCop. Yeah, a decent enough steelbook. So I'll put that up there. So there's quite a lot there. There is indeed. And most of it, by most people, is considered dross, crap, rubbish. Unless, like me, you're a huge fan of this character and this franchise. I love RoboCop. I think it's, you know, as a kid it kind of spoke to me, and it's one of those films that stayed with me all the time. Now, for me, a RoboCop sequel, in my mind, what would I do if you've got to see with RoboCop? In my mind, the first film was a one and done. For the most part, it was a one and done in that it was about a man who loses his identity and has to go on this journey of regaining his identity, basically. I know there's a lot of metaphorical kind of imagery and stuff to do with the crucifixion of Christ and all that involved in it as well. But for me, once he regained his memory at the end of the film, there's really nowhere else you can take it except down the route of, oh, let's have you fight a bigger robot, which RoboCop did. RoboCop 2 did. And let's take you down the police procedural, which was the TV series, which is why, for me, the TV series kind of worked, in a sense. The bigger robot thing, you know, I think RoboCop 3, in basis, had a good story idea. You know, him standing up for the people that are being evicted from their homes, to make way for new housing for richer people and all this sort of a thing. And it's very kind of, you know, that sort of stuff goes on in the world now more so than ever. Gentrification, that's what it's about. And so it touches on a good concept of a story, but ultimately fails with it. And then obviously you have all the robot ninjas, because it's delving into that as well. But for me, like I said, prime directives, having him explore his humanity more, most definitely. And the other side of it is his wife and children. Now, the one thing I didn't say about prime directives is that it is set about 10 years after the first RoboCop. RoboCop is old news, and people are kind of bored with him. They can't get parts to repair him. There's all this sort of struggles going on. He's sort of obsolete almost. But yeah, so his wife and child, this is where I would have focused a sequel. You need an emotional core, and that emotional core should have come around his wife and child, and you had a story that involved them and them finding out and coming to terms with RoboCop. Obviously, you've got a grander story with the action and some villains and all this sort of stuff going on, but that should have been your emotional core through the film. I'm not a writer. I'm just saying that that's what it should have basically focused on. Now, I know that RoboCop 2 touched upon this, like very, very slightly, but ultimately done nothing with it. And yeah, but yeah. So anyway, so that's the RoboCop TV series and films and cartoon series and everything else that I have in the collection. So there's only one more thing to really show you. So let's get into that one. So there we go, everyone. There we go. That is my collection of RoboCop. RoboCop stuff. RoboCop, whatever you want to call it. It isn't complete because, like I said, there are comic books that are still stashed away from the Dark Horse era, from the Boom era, and things like that. But for the most part, you've seen the majority of what I have. And there we go. So, thoughts down below, comments. Let me know what you think of RoboCop, what you think of the stuff that came after. I know what the comments are going to be about that, but there we go. And let's have a nice talk about RoboCop, and why not. And see you on the next one. Take care all, and goodbye.